Part 1. The demi-humans scattered throughout this world have kept the village of Lag locked in constant warfare. Among the soldiers who defend it is Kai, a young man who fights alongside his friend Monso as they confront one of the rampaging gorilla monsters. Yet, not even the strength of their friendship can save him. When it comes to actual combat, Kai's abilities are utterly worthless. As the battle unfolds, he finds himself cornered with no escape in sight. There is no doubt that this is where he would have died, if not for what happens next. Last possible moment, Al-Haz strikes down the gorilla. As the village's appointed guardian, blessed by the Lamb God, he stands as the strongest warrior among them. With terrifying ease, Al-Haz cuts through the gorillas one after another, until at last he stands before the gorilla guardian itself. One would expect the mightiest of the gorillas to pose some challenge, but in mere seconds, Al-Haz cleaves it cleanly in half. With all the gorillas defeated, the soldiers begin carving into their bodies. One of them hands Al-Haz a container filled with a strange liquid. Without hesitation, he drinks it. Almost immediately, his body begins to glow with a red aura. These are Godstones, and consuming their liquid is said to increase a person's strength and spiritual energy. It would seem logical for everyone to drink one and grow stronger together. But that is not how things work. The rules only allow ordinary soldiers to consume tiny drops. Each man receives his share, and when Kai takes his drop, he can already feel his spiritual power rising. He turns to Manso and asks if he might have a little more, but as a regular foot soldier, Kai has no chance of ever drinking an entire Godstone. Nearly all of them must be given to a guardian bearer like Al-Haz. So even though Al-Haz is already overwhelmingly powerful, he is forced to grow even stronger, while the rest remain trapped at pitifully low levels. And yet, no one sees anything wrong with this system. Back in the village, a grand celebration erupts to honor their victory over the gorillas. Even during the feast, however, portions are strictly divided by rank. The strongest warriors and the chief's children take the meat and wine for themselves. Lowly foot soldiers like Kai are left with nothing more than a small bowl of soup. The soup is not terrible, but Kai cannot help wishing he could taste the better food. Unfortunately, as long as he remains a low-ranking soldier, that will never happen. So he silently vows to train harder, grow stronger, and climb the ranks. When the banquet ends, Kai heads outside and begins training with everything he has. But it is difficult to give his all when he has barely eaten. He shouts that he wishes he had some rice balls, and moments later, Manso appears, asking what rice balls even are. Kai admits he does not know where the idea came from. The word simply appeared in his mind one day, but he cannot shake the feeling that rice balls would be incredibly delicious. As they talk, Kai points toward the hill where the village honors its fallen warriors. That slope is reserved for soldiers who left families behind, a place visited often by those who mourn them. On the other side lies another hill, neglected and overgrown, filled with the graves of those who died alone. No one cares for that place. Orphans like Kai are destined to be buried there, with no one to remember them and no proof they ever existed. It's why Kai wants to become stronger, to survive, and to live a life that actually means something. For now, all he can do is eat his meager rations and push himself harder than anyone else. Even then, it may not be enough. To truly survive, he would need some kind of unique advantage, a hidden power to give him an edge in battle, though he has no idea what that could be. That very moment, inside the castle, Alha and his sister, Jose, are on their way to their father's room. Alha tells her there is no need to worry about war briefings, since she is not expected to fight as he is. Jose insists she wants to help protect the village too, but Alha dismisses her, saying a chief's daughter does not need to learn how to fight. No matter how much she pleads, he refuses. Jose burns with frustration, angry at being barred from battle simply because she is a girl. As if mocking her, she glances out the window and sees Kai and Manso laughing and sparring together. Manso, older and far more skilled, easily overwhelms Kai during their training. Kai is forced to focus entirely on defense. Manso warns him that he will never improve if he does not start attacking. When Kai finally tries to strike, he leaves himself completely open. Manso counters instantly, sending Kai crashing to the ground. His head slams into the floor, and the impact leaves him with a severe concussion. In that moment, fragmented memories from a past life in Japan come flooding back. As his consciousness drifts, one word stands out clearly in his mind: magic. When Kai finally wakes, he has no idea what that word even means. Magic does not exist in this world. This is not the first time he has experienced strange memories, and there are others who see similar visions, but Kai never mentions it to anyone. The memories taught him things like rice balls and magic, but none of that helps him survive here. Back in Japan, magic was nothing more than a fairy tale. Still, if there were some way to actually use it, Kai could stand out in the next battle and raise his status. Meanwhile, the village chief receives a letter from a neighboring settlement. They are under attack by orcs. Bound by their alliance, the village of Lag must send help immediately. The chief is unhappy about sending soldiers back into battle so soon, but Alha insists that it is a soldier's duty to fight and die for the village. The chief reminds him that the soldiers are still people, not disposable tools. That night, Kai lies awake in the barracks, unable to stop thinking about magic. Manso notices something is wrong and asks him about it. Kai admits he dreamed of creating fire from nothing. He expects Manso to laugh, but instead, Manso recalls an old story about a traveler who once produced flame with a single finger. There is no proof the story is true, but it gives Kai hope. The next day, he finds a secluded place to train. Unsure how magic works, he compares it to spiritual energy and tries to command it to form fire. Nothing happens. He realizes he may need to focus it through his Godstone, but no matter how hard he concentrates, nothing changes. At the same time, orcs are spotted near the neighboring village, and soldiers are sent out to fight. When the battle begins, Manso quickly kills one orc. Kai rushes forward, but an orc throws a corpse at him, slamming him into a tree and injuring his leg. As an orc moves in to finish him, arrows strike it, and Manso saves him once more. As Alha tears through the enemy, the orcs retreat, and he chases them, abandoning the rest of the soldiers. Left behind, the squad is forced to scatter. With Kai injured, escape is impossible. Refusing to slow Manso down, Kai urges him to run. Manso hesitates, apologizes, and promises to honor Kai's grave. They separate, crawling in opposite directions. When an orc closes in, Kai desperately tries to use fire magic. It fails, until sparks suddenly burst from his fingertips. Understanding at last, he raises his hand and summons flames that burn the orc alive. The orc screams and Kai breaks free. He has finally defeated a monster on his own, but his hand is still burning, draining his spiritual energy. If he cannot stop it, he will die. Struggling to stay calm, Kai imagines shutting off the flow. With great effort, Kai finally cuts off the flow of his spiritual energy, but it is already too late. The orc reaches him anyway. Grabbing Kai, the creature begins dragging him away. It does not finish him off, and Kai realizes the flames must have blinded it, leaving it unaware that he is still alive. Though Kai does not want to die, he knows his body will not last much longer. If nothing else, he is determined to take the orc down with him. As the creature stumbles near the edge of a cliff, Kai drives his blade deep into its chest. Both of them fall into the river below. Somehow, Kai survives. Using his knife, he pulls himself from the water, his spiritual energy critically low. Nearby lies the orc's body, now clearly lifeless. Without hesitation, Kai cuts into it and retrieves its Godstone. Knowing the liquid can restore spiritual energy, he drinks it entirely. Energy surges through his body, and he feels himself recovering. Exhausted, he lies beneath a tree to rest. Only then does it strike him. This is the first time he has ever consumed an entire Godstone. From now on, spiritual energy may no longer be a problem. Still, the wound on his shoulder is severe and bleeding heavily. He believes he will die here regardless. At least, he thinks he can pass away watching a beautiful sunset. Back in the village, the soldiers return and prepare to celebrate their victory over the orcs. Manso, however, feels no joy. He notices Kai is missing. Slowly, the truth dawns on him. Kai must have fallen in battle. Instead of sympathy, another soldier coldly tells him to move on, saying Kai was nothing but dead weight. Kai remains unconscious beneath the tree all night. When morning comes, he wakes to find himself not only alive, but stronger than ever. His shattered leg has healed. The wound on his shoulder is completely closed. Confused, he realizes a single Godstone should not have healed injuries like this. He notices a stone behind him, covered in strange inscriptions. Vines obscure most of it, so Kai burns them away with fire magic. The burst is far stronger than before, sending him flying across the valley. When he steadies himself, he sees his reflection in the water and is stunned to find a divine crest etched into his face, the mark of a guardian bearer. Moments later, it vanishes, leaving him unsure whether it was real. The inscriptions are written in a language he cannot understand, so he gives up and begins heading back to the village. As he climbs a cliff, the crest appears again, and the rock crumbles in his hand. Falling back, he realizes he can now crush stone effortlessly. Before he can celebrate, a voice orders him to leave. Kai does not wait to see who spoke. He climbs the cliff at full speed, shocked by how easily he reaches the top. He wonders if this power truly comes from divine protection. Guardian bearer crests are said to be gifts from land gods, yet Kai remembers no such blessing. Until he learns more, he decides to keep this secret hidden. Back in Log, Manso finishes preparing Kai's grave, only for Kai to return alive. Overjoyed, Manso welcomes him back. Life soon returns to normal, but Kai now excels at every task. He plows entire fields alone without breaking a sweat. Panicked, he checks his reflection, but the crest remains hidden. It seems to appear only when he exerts himself fully. When questioned, Kai claims he drank the Godstones of orcs he defeated. The explanation satisfies everyone. Elsa, meanwhile, watches Kai longer than usual, drawing teasing from her friends. Early the next morning, Kai practices fire magic when Princess Jose confronts him. Forced to explain, Kai reveals his ability. Jose is unsurprised, noting that those with abilities usually come from elite backgrounds. Remembering rumors that Kai drank many Godstones, she suspects his spiritual reserves are unusually large. She orders him to train with her. During their sparring, Kai holds back, afraid of revealing his crest. Even so, he realizes his true strength far surpasses hers. Afterward, Jose explains that guardian bearers vary in power depending on their land god and training. Though women are not expected to fight, she still bears responsibility. Before she can say more, the morning bell rings and she invites Kai to join her monthly grave cleaning duty. A few days later, Kai travels with Jose and a squad to a ruined village. Monsters destroyed it long ago, yet the gravestone of its land god remains. As Jose prays, red aura flows into a small flower garden, sustaining it with great effort. Kai learns that her land god is weak, which is why she is not as strong as her father or brother. All guardian bearers must train relentlessly and consume Godstones to maintain their land's prosperity. As Kai cleans the gravestone, he realizes it is identical to the stone he saw in the valley. When he touches it, the words translate in his mind. Jose notices his reaction, but before he can explain, soldiers warn them that apes are approaching. During the escape, Jose charges an ape in rage. When she falters, Kai intervenes, killing the beasts with ease. Jose glimpses the crest on his face. Back in Lag, Jose is scolded, but her father Moloch is intrigued by Kai's actions and eager to see what he will do next. Part 4. Soon after, Kai is teased by his friends for being called a hero. Rumors spread that he and Jose grew close. Elsa watches quietly as the others joke. Later, Jose asks Kai to speak privately. She thanks him for saving her life and mentions seeing a divine crest on his face, though she concludes it must have been her imagination. Determined to grow stronger, she orders Kai to train with her every morning. He reluctantly agrees. That night, Kai hears a strange bird call, one that reminds him of the valley. Unable to sleep, he leaps over the village wall and returns there. He cleans the god's gravestone and leaves an offering, then eats fruit from the forest, amazed by its abundance. Considering building a house, he attempts to cut down a tree with fire magic, accidentally igniting the forest before stopping it. Recalling knowledge from his past life, he learns to disrupt molecular bonds and partially slices the tree until a sound draws him away. He encounters the Korer people, led by Porak. They believe Kai is the valley god, explaining they worship the land gods and were driven out by orcs. Porak reveals he can see spiritual energy and confirms Kai carries the valley god's essence. They confess they sacrificed Porak's granddaughter Aru to the valley. Horrified, Kai finds her alive but dying. Using newfound magic, he heals her wounds. When orcs attack, Kai kills them, including their guardian bearer. Consuming the guardian's Godstone grants him immense power. Porak is convinced Kai is the arbitration god. After resting, Kai wakes to find Aru beside him. She vows to serve him as an offering. Kai refuses, but she insists. With dawn breaking, Kai returns to Lag, allowing the Korers to settle near the valley, but never inside it. Back in the village, Kai is late to training. Vizin challenges him to a duel. Though Kai restrains himself, he impresses Vizin, who declares he will personally train him. Days pass with constant training. One night, Kai returns to the valley and finds Aru has built a house and prepared food for him. He eats more than he ever has before. Life continues between village and valley. Kai grows stronger, while Elsa shares memories of their childhood village and reminds him that he once charged a gorilla to save everyone. Far away, orcs defeat the gorillas and turn their attention toward Kai's valley. When an inspector named Gandalf arrives, he abuses his authority, hoarding food and belittling others. Meanwhile, a monk named Nada reveals knowledge of divine crests and an ancient prophecy about a powerful god in this land. Soon, orc movements confirm the threat. Kai rushes toward the valley, where he and the Korers prepare to defend it. As the orc leader reveals himself, a Durakan, Kai understands he must fight with everything he has. The valley god's voice commands him to kill, and as Kai faces the enemy, the true trial of his power, the Durakan steps forward, his divine crest glowing openly as the surrounding orcs roar in confidence. Porak immediately recognizes the mark and warns the others. Among orc kind, there exist 6 elite warriors blessed by powerful land gods. These beings are known as the Rigdaros, and their strength far surpasses that of ordinary guardian bearers. Kai orders everyone to stay back. To face this enemy, he knows he must fight at full power. From a distant hill, Nada watches the confrontation unfold. The moment he sees Kai's divine crest, all doubt vanishes. Kai is the very being he has been searching for, the god of the valley. The Durakan speaks fluently in the human tongue. He remarks that Kai's predecessor must have fallen, since there were no recent signs of the valley god. When one of his warriors was slain in this region, he followed the trail, which led him straight to Kai. The voice of the valley god echoes within Kai, commanding him to kill the intruder. Kai charges without hesitation, thrusting his blade forward. The Durakan blocks effortlessly, forcing Kai to leap back. He attacks again, only to be knocked aside and mocked for his weakness. Realizing direct attacks will not work, Kai changes tactics. He dives low, striking from behind, but the Durakan's skin is too tough. Kai's spear shatters on impact. Still refusing to yield, Kai uses the broken spear tip, kicking it into the Durakan's side. For a moment, it works. The wound draws cheers from the Korers, but in an instant, the injury heals completely. The Durakan retaliates, slamming Kai to the ground. Porak fears what he is witnessing, explaining that such regeneration is far from normal. It may be that the Durakan is effectively immortal. Lifting Kai by the throat, the Durakan taunts him, calling him a false god. He vows to destroy the valley and slaughter everyone within it. The orcs laugh as Kai struggles to breathe. Summoning every bit of strength left, Kai grips the Durakan's arm and unleashes fire at point-blank range. The pain forces the Durakan to throw him away. Kai rises again and attacks with greater flames, but the Durakan walks straight through them. He reveals that his god spirit shields him constantly. Any attack he understands can be healed or negated, and now that he has seen Kai's fire, it no longer works. Weaponless and exhausted, Kai draws his knife. He has no idea how to proceed. Physical attacks fail, magic fails. He can only hope for something, anything, to change. He strikes once more. The blade snaps. The Durakan smashes Kai into the ground. Watching in horror, the Korers realize Kai may truly lose. Nada fears that if Kai dies, the Valley God's power will fall into the hands of demi-humans. The Durakan looks down on Kai in contempt, calling him a disgrace. As Kai lies there, his thoughts race. If he fails, the valley will be destroyed. Then he notices something pressed against his chest, the wheat balls Elsa made for him. In that instant, the sight triggers a surge of buried memories, knowledge far deeper than magic or combat. Kai suddenly remembers everything. Part 6. The knowledge floods his mind all at once. It is not magic drawn from spiritual energy alone, nor strength borrowed from a god. It is understanding the structure of matter itself. Kai realizes the Durakan's power does not make him invincible. His regeneration works only against attacks he comprehends. That means there is still a way. Slowly, Kai rises to his feet. The Durakan mocks him, confident the fight is already over. Kai tightens his grip on the broken blade fragment and focuses, not on force, but on separation. He does not attack the Durakan's body. He attacks the bonds that hold it together. The moment Kai strikes, the Durakan freezes. His divine protection fails to respond. For the first time, fear appears in his eyes. The blade passes through him effortlessly. The Durakan collapses, his body unable to heal what it does not understand. As he dies, Kai extracts the Guardian Bearer's Godstone. The battlefield falls silent. The orcs flee in terror, abandoning the valley. The Korers stare in awe. Porak drops to his knees, fully convinced now that Kai is truly the arbitration god. Kai, exhausted, nearly collapses. Nada watches from afar, his suspicions confirmed. The prophecy is real, and Kai is its center. Later, Kai returns to the valley. Though victorious, he understands the truth now. His existence will draw enemies far greater than before. Gods, demi-humans, and kingdoms will come searching. But for now, the valley is safe. Kai looks toward the gravestone of the valley god, understanding at last that it did not choose him by chance. His strength was never just borrowed power, it was earned. And with that realization, Kai prepares for the battles yet to come, knowing that this was only the beginning. Part 7. After the Durakan's death, silence settles over the valley. The orc army retreats completely, leaving behind broken weapons and scorched earth. None of them dare to look back. Kai remains standing, his body barely holding together. The Korer people gather around him, unsure whether they should approach or kneel. Porak is the first to bow his head, followed by the rest. To them, there is no longer any doubt. The valley has chosen its god. Nada arrives shortly after. He confirms what he feared and hoped at the same time. The ancient records spoke of a god who would awaken not through inheritance, but through struggle. A god who would rise from among humans, shaped by suffering rather than divine selection. Kai listens but does not respond. He feels no triumph, only exhaustion. The Korers offer him shelter, food, and worship. Kai refuses most of it. He allows them to remain in the valley, but only under one condition. There will be no sacrifices, no blood offerings, no lives given in his name. Porak accepts without hesitation. When Kai returns to Lag, the atmosphere has changed. Word of the battle spreads faster than he expects. Soldiers whisper. Guardians watch him more closely. Even Alhaz studies him with a mixture of curiosity and unease. A guardian bearer who defeated a Rigduros is not something the village can ignore. Inspector Gandalf soon arrives to investigate the orc incursion. He carries himself with authority, demanding tribute and supplies, while blaming the villagers for their weakness. He shows no respect for the fallen and dismisses the valley's defense as luck. Kai says nothing, but he remembers Gondal's face. Jose notices the tension immediately. She warns Kai to stay cautious. Power, she explains, draws attention long before it draws understanding. Those in authority fear what they cannot control. Training intensifies. Vizen pushes Kai harder than ever, testing his limits without mercy. Even while holding back, Kai's growth becomes impossible to hide. His strength no longer feels human. His endurance defies logic, and yet he never once reveals the crest unless forced to. Elsa watches him quietly. She remembers the boy who used to starve beside her, the one everyone called useless. Seeing him now feels unreal, as if the world itself made a mistake. That night, Kai returns to the valley. The stone responds to him more clearly than before. Fragmented memories surface, of land gods fading, of territories collapsing when guardians grow corrupt, of wars sparked not by monsters, but by humans seeking divine power. Kai realizes something terrifying. If the world learns what he truly is, they will not come asking for help. They will come to claim him. And somewhere far beyond the valley, forces far greater than orcs begin to move. Kai is finally ready to return to the others. Before leaving the valley, he says his goodbyes. But just before setting off, he pauses to eat. He takes out the rice balls Elsa prepared for him, and as he eats, a thought settles in his mind. When he returns, he will have to find a way to thank her. Without these rice balls, he might not have survived. They may have saved his life. Kai makes his way back to the group. The moment Manso sees him, he urgently tells Kai that something is wrong with Gose. Without hesitating, Kai rushes over to her. He notices a strange mark on her leg, though he has no idea what could have caused it. Just then, Nada arrives. He says he has seen this mark before. However, instead of explaining it immediately, he questions Kai about the orcs he was pursuing earlier. Kai tries to dismiss the question, insisting they should focus on helping Goze first. But Nada refuses to let it go and presses him for an answer. Kai lies, saying that when he tracked down the orcs, he found that someone else had already killed them. Nada clearly sees through the lie, but exposing Kai here would accomplish nothing. Instead, he suggests that if the orcs are truly dealt with, they should prioritize getting Jose back to the village for proper treatment. They set off at once, carrying Jose with them. As they travel, Nada notices something odd. Kai's shirt is stained with blood. He points it out, remarking how strange that is, given Kai's claim that he did not fight the orcs. Kai quickly makes up an excuse, saying he must have brushed against one of the dead orcs by accident. When the group finally reaches the village, they are met with devastation. As Kai passes through the gates, he sees the troop leader, Bosco, holding a wounded man in his arms. Kai approaches and asks what happened. Bosco explains that the village was attacked by an overwhelming number of guerrillas. Thanks to Vazen's intervention, they managed to drive them back, but the damage is severe. The destruction is visible everywhere. Kai immediately runs to the refuge area where those who lost their homes have gathered. He calls out for Elsa, praying that she survived the attack. To his relief, her voice answers him from down the hall. "Hey, there's Kai! She is alive." Seeing her safe fills Kai with relief and joy. Meanwhile, Jose is brought to Vazen. He is stunned to see that she has been afflicted as well. He explains that Alha is suffering from the same symptoms and admits that he understands the cause. At the same time, a scouting party returns with grim news. The guerrillas have summoned reinforcements and are preparing to launch another assault. Back in the village, Kai helps Elsa tend to the wounded. As he works, he struggles to accept how badly the village has been damaged. Elsa explains that when the attack began, she fled here with her mother and younger sister. She was terrified, but just remembering Kai's face made her feel safe. As Elsa says this, her grandmother realizes the two are about to share a private moment and quietly slips away. Kai turns to Elsa and begins to thank her for the rice balls she prepared for him, but before he can finish, Manso suddenly appears and tells him that Vazen needs to see him immediately. Kai heads to Vazen's office to deliver his report. Vazen is relieved to hear that the orcs have been neutralized, but he reminds Kai that the guerrilla threat still remains. Kai asks about Jose and Alha's condition. Vazen explains that the guerrillas cursed the land gods bound to them. It was a deliberate attempt to eliminate the village's strongest defenders. According to their earlier reconnaissance, the guerrillas are already mobilizing for another attack. Nada tells Vazen that once the curse is lifted, their strength will return. He then asks that Kai accompany him to break the curse. He chose Kai because he firmly believes in his power. Vazen agrees. He places his trust in Kai and gives him his blessing. He explains that the journey will take them first to Elg, to Alha's god, and then to Edda, to Hose's god. The fate of Lag Village depends on this mission. For Jose's sake, Kai vows to give it everything he has. Kai and Nada leave Vazen's office together. As they descend the stairs, they hear Gandalf shouting. Even in the middle of the crisis, Kai cannot help wishing Gandalf would actually contribute something. But considering how useless Gandalf usually is, Nada doubts he will be of any help. Nada says he needs time to prepare for the journey and tells Kai to meet him at the North Gate when he is ready. Before leaving, Kai visits Elsa once more and finally thanks her properly for the rice balls. Elsa is glad they helped him. Kai tells her he must leave again today, but promises to return as quickly as possible. When he does, he vows to take her to a special place. Elsa takes Kai's hands and tells him she will be waiting for him. As Kai walks away, she already feels his absence. Kai meets Nada at the North Gate. Nada has been given a bag by Vazen to assist in breaking the curse. Meanwhile, Jose and Alha continue to suffer from its effects. After several hours of travel, Kai and Nada reach the village of Elg, where Alha's land god resides. If the guerrillas went to the trouble of cursing this gravestone, they must be guarding it to prevent anyone from lifting the curse. Nada announces that he will scout ahead and immediately activates his surveillance technique. Kai recognizes the presence. It is the same sensation he felt during his battle with the Durakan. Nada explains that this technique is called 100 Eyes, a secret art he mastered at the monastery. It allows him to observe anything, no matter the distance. After surveying the area, Nada reports that only 5 gorillas are stationed at the gravestone. The 2 of them should have no trouble dealing with them. The moment they arrive, Kai attacks. He slashes one gorilla's throat and drives his blade into 2 more in rapid succession. He moves to assist Nada, only to realize that Nada is more than capable of handling himself. Kai is surprised by Nada's skill. In the heat of battle, he fails to notice that his divine crest has appeared. Nada, however, had already suspected its existence. When he sees it clearly, he drops to one knee. He begs Kai to wield the power of the savage god for the sake of the unified kingdom of men. Kai tells Nada there is no need to bow. He does not want to discuss this now and urges him to focus on lifting the curse from Alha's land god. Nada agrees to set the matter aside. Nada begins cleaning the gravestone while Kai stands guard. As he works, Nada explains why the unified kingdom so desperately needs a new and powerful god. The human kingdom is steadily declining each year, and figures like Gandalf lie at the heart of the problem. The most powerful guardian bearers have grown corrupted by authority and comfort, neglecting their sacred duties. As a result, the gods supporting the king have grown dangerously weak. Nada warns that this decline will only continue. If the kingdom were still strong, reinforcements could have been sent to help during disasters like this. But now, tragedies will keep increasing year after year because the current gods can no longer support the king. That is why Nada has been searching for a new god, even if it means tearing down the existing hierarchy. As Nada begins the curse-breaking ritual, Kai asks about the liquid he is pouring over the gravestone. Nada explains that Elg's deity serves Lag's god, meaning Vazan's blood, as the guardian bearer can neutralize the curse. When the blood fully soaks into the stone, Nada declares the ritual a success. Now, he says, they must hurry to Edda to repeat the process and free Jose. As they continue their journey, Nada speaks again about the changing state of the world. He notes how the gorillas, driven into desperation, were willing to undermine land gods and plunge the land into chaos just to secure victory. Kai asks Nada what he means by desperate. Nada explains that, according to his research, the gorilla nation is facing a massive threat, one so severe that it may force them to abandon their homeland entirely. That is why they have invaded human territory, searching for a new place to settle. He adds that the same is true for the orcs. Kai killed the day before. They were searching for a new god, hoping to stand against the being that now threatens them from the north. With so many changes happening at once, Nada fears that the human kingdom itself may be destroyed. Because of this, he asks Kai to lend the power of his god to the kingdom of humans, and in doing so, save millions of lives. Kai finds Nada's explanation convincing. However, without warning, the valley god begins urging him to kill Nada. The sudden pressure leaves Kai uncertain, unsure whether Nada can truly be trusted. Kai asks for time to think. Nada agrees to wait, but makes it clear that once the curse on Jose's land god is lifted, he expects an answer. Meanwhile, back in the village, the mark on Alha's body has begun to recede, thanks to the efforts of Kai and Nada. If Alha regains enough strength to return to battle, the villagers of Lag may yet have a real chance of survival. Kai and Nada eventually reach the gravestone in Edda after defeating the gorillas guarding it. Nada begins working to break the curse. While he does, Kai steps outside for a short walk. Alone, he reflects on the power he now holds. He has not yet decided how it should be used or whether using it to save lives is the right path. Still, he cannot understand why the Valley God reacted with such anger toward Nada. At that moment, Nada steps outside and asks whether Kai has reached a decision. Kai admits that he is still uncertain. Nada presses on. He explains that if Kai joins the kingdom's mausoleum, he will gain the God King's favor, and with it, an immense increase in power. Power so great that saving the people of Lag would be effortless, especially those Kai cares about most, like Elsa. Kai understands the logic, but he also feels responsibility toward others beyond the village, including the Korars who have sworn loyalty to him. Nada insists that the Korars must be abandoned. Kai demands to know why. Nada explains that the kingdom's mausoleum does not accept lowly demi-humans, regardless of how peaceful they may be. Humans stand above all others, and coexistence with other species is simply unacceptable. Kai argues that the Korars are anything but lowly. Nada dismisses his words and urges him to dedicate his power solely to humanity and to no one else. If those are the kingdom's conditions, Kai says he has no choice but to refuse. As a guardian bearer, his duty is to protect his land god and all who live within its domain. Abandoning the Korars is not an option. Nada asks if anything could change Kai's mind. Kai remains firm. This surprises Nada. After a moment, Nada smiles. He says that if Kai will not accept the terms, then he will give up on recruiting him. For now, he even promises to come up with an excuse so his superiors will not pursue Kai further. Kai believes him. But the next instant, Nada betrays him. A blade pierces Kai's back. Blood spills freely as Kai collapses, stunned by the sudden attack. Kai collapses to his knees, completely stunned. He never imagined that Nada would betray him like this. Nada calmly explains that the weapon he used is a god-killer knife, a blade capable of piercing a guardian bearer's defenses and draining their strength for a time. He says that Kai's arrogance made him believe he could use such power for the sake of his loved ones. In truth, Nada claims, all immense power must be governed by the kingdom. That is why he intends to end Kai's life and claim his power by consuming his Godstone. Kai tries to summon his divine crest to fight back, but the god-killer knife remains lodged in his back. The pain becomes unbearable. Nada forces him to the ground and yanks the blade free, preparing to deliver the final blow. He tells Kai there is no need to be afraid. His legacy, Nada says, will be remembered in history. But just as Nada reaches to extract Kai's Godstone, Kai slips out from beneath him and launches a kick that sends Nada flying. Back in the village, the townspeople rush to prepare their defenses for the approaching guerrilla invasion. Anxiety hangs heavily in the air as they know no reinforcements are coming to help them. Vazin warns everyone that the guerrillas could attack at any moment. Though he understands their fear, he promises to stand and fight alongside them to protect the village. The men gather outside, readying themselves for battle, while those injured in the earlier attack, including Elsa and her family, are treated inside the castle shelter. Meanwhile, Nada tries to persuade Kai to surrender and allow himself to be killed for the greater good of the human kingdom. He argues that the power of a god could save countless human lives. Kai does not deny that. But he also has people in the valley to protect, and for that reason, he refuses to give up his power. Realizing that Kai will not change his mind, and that his surprise attack has failed, Nada braces himself for a deadly fight. Before he can strike, a gorilla suddenly appears and slams into him with an axe. At that same moment, the assault on the village begins. The villagers fight back with everything they have, but the guerrillas hurl rocks endlessly, making it clear the defenses will not hold much longer. Vazin steps forward to take command personally. Deep within the forest, the guerrilla leader approaches the battlefield and gives the order to attack again. Flaming rocks are launched toward the village. Back where Kai is, a massive rock is hurled at Nada, forcing him to retreat. As he runs, a gorilla pursues him and strikes with an axe, leaving him no choice but to fight back. Kai could escape while Nada is distracted, but two more guerrillas appear, both intent on killing him. Kai ends up cornered alongside Nada as the three guerrillas confront them. The leader steps forward, revealing himself as a guardian bearer, and asks whether they were responsible for lifting the curse placed on the gravestone. Neither Kai nor Nada answers. It makes no difference. The gorilla declares that neither of them will leave this place alive. All three gorillas are guardian bearers. This unsettles Nada, who knows he cannot defeat them alone. But when Kai realizes these are the very gorillas who cursed Jose and Alha, he forces himself to stand. His eyes burn with fury as he vows they will pay for what they have done. One gorilla lunges at Kai with a spear. Kai sidesteps the attack. A second gorilla swings at him, and Kai leaps back to avoid the blow. Before he can land properly, the spear pierces him, and he is hurled into the wreckage of a house. As the gorilla closes in to finish him, Kai struggles to his feet and slashes its stomach. The wound is not fatal. Kai's earlier injuries refuse to heal, the lingering effect of the god-killer knife. Soon after, Nada arrives and demands to know where the gorillas have gone. Kai, unwilling to be betrayed again, prepares to activate his energy blade, ready to kill Nada if necessary. Before either of them can act, the gorillas begin mocking them from outside. Nada declares that he will not allow the power of Kai's god to fall into gorilla hands. One of the gorillas charges him. Nada spins his staff rapidly, blocking their attacks, warning them not to underestimate him. But he is not as strong as he believes. After several brutal blows, he is slammed to the ground, defenseless. A gorilla looms over him, axe raised for the killing strike. At the last moment, Kai leaps in and saves him. Nada is shocked that Kai would help him after everything that happened. Just then, another gorilla charges, spear aimed straight at Kai. Without hesitation, Nada repays the favor, unleashing flame magic to create chaos and give them time to escape. When they finally reach safety, Nada asks why Kai would save someone who just tried to kill him. Kai says his body moved on its own. Nada finds this amusing, but also begins to understand why the arbitrator god chose Kai. The gorillas begin searching the area. They will not remain hidden for long. Nada insists they need a plan. The odds are against them, but he assures Kai that if he follows his instructions carefully, they might survive. Kai asks if Nada is truly helping him, reminding him that if Kai survives, nothing would stop him from killing Nada afterward. Nada says he would not blame him if that happened. That is a problem for another time. Right now, Nada still has not seen the full extent of Kai's power. Kai does not trust him, but with no other options, he agrees to follow Nada's plan. As the gorillas close in, Kai rushes out to draw their attention while Nada relocates. Despite their size, the gorillas blend unnervingly well with their surroundings. Nada activates his 100 Eyes technique, detecting their positions and warning Kai just before they strike. When one gorilla attempts an ambush, Kai sees it in time and cuts off its head instantly. Nada warns him of another attacker dropping from above. Kai stands his ground and slices it in two with his energy blade. Nada is stunned by Kai's skill, but his distraction allows the final gorilla to sneak up behind him. Despite his efforts, the gorilla drives a spear through Nada's chest. He drops his weapon and collapses. As the gorilla believes it has won, Kai crashes down from above and cuts it cleanly in half. The battle ends. But with a spear through his lungs, Nada's condition is dire. Back in Lag Village, Oha finally shakes off the curse and rises from his bed, confused and unaware of what caused the change. Hearing chaos outside, he realizes the gorillas have attacked. He tries to leave his bed, determined to fight. His maid, Akui, tries to stop him, but Oha insists. He orders her to bring him a sword and fresh clothes. She obeys. Meanwhile, Kai drags Nada into a house and desperately tries to save him. He offers one of the gorilla Godstones, but Nada laughs. Normally, a Godstone would heal such wounds. This time, it will not. Nada explains that the spear destroyed part of his Godstone. It cannot be repaired. His vision begins to blur. He tells Kai that this is the end of his journey. Kai refuses to accept it. Remembering his healing magic, he desperately tries to save Nada, but nothing changes. Nada realizes Kai is using a healing miracle. He is shocked that Kai possesses such power alongside his invisible blade. He tells Kai that he has surpassed the limits of an ordinary human. That kind of power, Nada says, is exactly what the world needs now. Having accepted his fate, Nada urges Kai to stop. Raising a trembling hand, he asks forgiveness from his high priest for failing his mission to reclaim the god. He has no regrets. He was able to witness the arbitrator god's power firsthand. Nada closes his eyes. Rain begins to fall around Kai. Back in the village, Jose awakens confused. Her last memory is collapsing in Yuzal's village. Now she is in her father's room. A loud crash sounds outside. Akui rushes in to check on her. Jose demands to know what is happening. Akui tells her the gorillas have launched an attack. She also delivers Vazen's message. If the situation becomes desperate, Jose must flee the village to ensure her safety. The words cut deeply. Jose knows her father wants to protect her, but it still hurts that even now, he does not believe she is strong enough to fight beside him. Jose steps out of her room and finds the hallway packed with people. Women and children crowd the narrow space, waiting in silence. She turns to Akui and demands to know what is going on. Akui explains that Vazen ordered all women and children to shelter inside the castle until the fighting ends. But that is not what Jose is asking. What she wants to know is why they are being forced to wait here, crammed into a corridor. Jose raises her voice and tells everyone they can use her room. She says they are free to use anything inside it. She assures them that the Malak family will fulfill its duty and defeat the guerrillas, and that there is no need to panic. Meanwhile, two soldiers burst into Gandalf's chamber to warn him about the guerrilla invasion, only to find the room empty. One of them suggests that perhaps Gandalf went out to join the battle. The other immediately scoffs at the idea. Knowing Gandalf's true nature, he says there is no chance of that. If anything, Gandalf would have fled the moment the fighting began. And he is right. At that very moment, Gandalf's rushing toward the village gates. Suddenly, a rock comes flying straight at him, and he panics. All the rumors about Gandalf being stronger than Vazin were lies. The truth is that he is nothing more than a fraud. The only reason he ever held authority was because he had been hiding behind Nada's strength all along. On top of the wall, Elsa distributes food to the soldiers to help restore their energy. She apologizes for not being able to prepare something better, but the soldiers are grateful for her kindness. As Elsa prepares to head back down to gather more food, she notices Gandalf trying to open the front gate. At first, she wonders if he is going out to fight the guerrillas. Then she overhears him shouting that he needs to return to the capital immediately. He demands that the gate be opened at once, but the soldiers struggle to move it. They are exhausted and lack the strength. Gandalf notices the crank mechanism and begins turning it himself. When the others realize what he is doing, they rush down to stop him. They warn that opening the gate now could allow the guerrillas to enter the village. Gandalf ignores them. Instead, he drives his blade into the stomach of the soldier captain and orders everyone to back away. No one ever liked Gandalf, but now that he has murdered one of their own, they are ready to attack him. Before they can, Gandalf grabs Elsa and uses her as a human shield. Gandalf does not care about the village or what happens to it. His only concern is saving himself. As his carriage arrives, he slashes the rope and releases the gate. Holding Elsa hostage, he escapes, abandoning the village to its fate. The moment the guerrillas see the gate open, they walk straight in, intent on destroying everything. The remaining soldiers have no choice but to fight, though most stand little chance against the guerrillas. Seeing this, Vazin leaps down from the wall to rescue them. He cuts down 3 guerrillas with ease, but many more remain, making survival uncertain. At the same time, Kai races toward the village at full speed. He knows that even with Vazin fighting, it may not be enough to stop the entire guerrilla force. He still does not fully understand how to wield his power, but one thing is clear. He will protect the village. Back in Lag, the elders receive word that the main gate has been breached. The news is devastating, yet Vazin is still fighting. Strangely, this only increases their fear. They suspect the guerrilla's true objective is Vazin's Godstone. Meanwhile, Gandalf leaves the chaos behind, convinced that Lag Village is doomed. Still, he takes satisfaction in having kidnapped Elsa. Elsa does not submit. When Gondal tries to touch her, she kicks him, sending him stumbling back. Back at the village, Vizin begins to struggle under the relentless guerrilla assault. Seeing this, Manso and the remaining soldiers devise a plan. They paint divine crests on their faces, pretending to be guardian bearers, even though they are ordinary soldiers. The guerrillas hesitate, unsure. That moment of doubt is all the soldiers need. They strike and bring the guerrillas down. With the enemies inside the village defeated, the soldiers rush to seal the gate to prevent more from entering. They manage to close it in time, but the guerrillas immediately begin trying to smash their way through. It becomes clear that it is only a matter of time. Manso urges Vazin to step back and let the soldiers hold this position. They cannot risk losing him. Flynn reminds everyone that Vazin and the land god are one and the same. As long as he survives, the village can be restored. Meanwhile, Kai finally nears the village. The sheer number of guerrillas leaves him stunned. They soon notice him and charge straight toward him. Kai stands his ground. Back inside the village, Vazin briefly considers retreating. Then, he remembers the people he swore to protect. He tells Flynn to check on Jose and Alha and ensure the guerrillas do not reach them. He stays behind to fight. The guerrillas break through the gate, forcing Vazin and the soldiers into battle once more. At first, Vazin overwhelms the ordinary guerrillas. Then guardian bearers enter the fray, and the battle becomes far more difficult. Despite his weakened state, Alha limps onto the battlefield. He refuses to stand by while the village is attacked. When the soldiers see him, relief washes over them. Another guardian bearer has joined the fight. Alha cuts one gorilla cleanly in half, but his condition quickly catches up to him. When he clashes with a gorilla guardian bearer, his blade fails to finish the job, and the impact sends him crashing to the ground. The gorilla moves in to kill him. At the last moment, Jose steps in, blocking the attack with her shield. The force sends pain through her still healing body. She drops the shield, grips her spear, and faces the gorilla. She lacks the raw strength of Alha and Vazin, but her speed makes up for it. The gorilla cannot follow her movements. She leaps into the air and decapitates it with a single strike. The soldiers surge forward, inspired. With Vazin, Alha, and Jose fighting together, they defeat the remaining gorilla guardian bearers. Vazin looks at Jose with pride, surprised by how much she has grown. A wounded gorilla warns him that even this will not be enough. Their king is nearby. The remaining gorillas stop attacking. They do not retreat either. Vazin moves closer to the gate to see why, and what he witnesses leaves him stunned. Kai is outside, tearing through the gorillas with his bare hands. Vazin does not understand how, but it is clear Kai can handle them. He calls out and throws Kai his spiked club. Kai catches it midair and begins cutting down the gorilla army. Manso and the others watch in disbelief. They always knew Kai was strong, but this rivals a true guardian bearer. Within minutes, Kai wipes out most of the gorillas. Realizing they are outmatched, the remaining forces, including their king, retreat into the forest. The battle is over. As calm returns, Alha speaks with Akui. She praises his efforts, saying the village was protected because of him. Alha knows the truth. The real hero was Kai. The boy he once dismissed as a mere commoner had revealed his divine crest during battle. To hide his power, Kai claims he only painted it on, pretending to scrub it away. Vazin approaches Kai and asks about Nada. Kai tells him that while breaking the curse in Ada village, they were ambushed by 3 gorilla guardian bearers. He does not mention Nada's betrayal. Nada was killed, and Kai could not save him. Vazin is surprised. Nada was strong. Kai explains that he learned about the village attack from the gorillas and rushed back immediately, leaving Nada without a burial. Vazin says he understands and will send a team to recover the body. At that moment, Elsa's younger sister asks Kai if he has seen Elsa. Kai is startled. He did not realize she was missing. Manso explains that when Gandalf fled, he took Elsa with him in his carriage. Kai immediately runs after him. Inside the carriage, Gandalf checks whether the road is clear. His assistant assures him the area is safe. Gandalf asks how long it will take to reach the capital. When told the distance, he decides to entertain himself with Elsa. Before he can, he senses something approaching. He sharpens his vision and sees Kai racing toward them. Gandalf grabs a bow and fires, but Elsa shoves him, ruining the shot. Enraged, Gandalf draws his sword. The horses panic under Kai's pressure. The carriage crashes. Kai reaches Elsa and finds her stabbed. He tries to heal her, but the wound is too severe. Gandalf heals himself and stands. Kai demands to know if he stabbed Elsa. Gandalf makes excuses, blaming Kai. Kai hesitates for a moment, then remembers the truth. He kills Gandalf and tears out his Godstone. To save Elsa, he gives it to her. The moment she swallows it, her body convulses in agony. Kai does not understand what is happening, and his knowledge is not enough to save her. Right now, Kai's only hope is to get Elsa to Porok and see if there's anything he can do to help. As Kai races through the forest, several gorillas watch him silently from the shadows. Eventually, he reaches Porok and explains everything, desperate to understand what is happening to Elsa. Porok's response is immediate. Giving Elsa Gandalf's Godstone was a terrible mistake. It is true that consuming a Godstone can aid in healing, but if the Godstone comes from the same species, it can cause severe poisoning unless the proper procedures are followed. In the worst case, Elsa could die from the toxin. Still, there is hope. Porok quickly begins preparing a treatment to force Elsa to expel the Godstone. While he works, Kai steps outside the tent to give him space. The moment he does, he notices 3 gorillas approaching and instinctively prepares to defend himself. Kai demands to know whether they have come to attack his village again. To his shock, the gorillas suddenly drop to their knees. Recognizing the sacred crest of the god Cani, they humbly ask Kai to accompany them back to their land. After several hours pass, Porok manages to make Elsa expel most of Gandalf's Godstone and administers an Uruk antidote. There is nothing more they can do now except wait and hope she survives. Porok steps outside to inform Kai of Elsa's condition, but he freezes when he sees several gorillas kneeling before him. Confused, he asks Kai what is going on. Kai is just as bewildered. One of the gorillas steps forward and introduces himself as Torud. He once again begs Kai to accept their request, though Kai still has no idea what he means. At Porok's urging, Torud explains, their land has been corrupted by an evil god. From Porok's reaction, Kai can tell this is no minor matter. Torud continues, saying the corruption has spread through the land and water alike, leaving the gorillas without food. Now they can only wait for their end. The one responsible, Torud says, is the malevolent god Diabo. The instant Kai hears that name, the arbitration god erupts within him, screaming for Diabo's annihilation. The force is so overwhelming that Kai briefly drops to his knees. Once he regains his composure, Kai turns to the gorillas and demands to know why they think they have any right to ask for his help. Only moments ago they were attacking his village and nearly killed everyone he cares about. Now they want his aid. One of Torud's subordinates snaps and shouts that Kai has killed many of their own as well. He warns that if Kai refuses to help, the gorillas will simply attack Lag again. That threat only makes things worse. Kai coldly warns them that if any gorilla dares to attack his village again, he will personally wipe them all out. Torud panics and orders his subordinate to apologize immediately. Trying to calm Kai's anger, the gorilla explains that their attack was born of desperation. With their land poisoned and no longer able to sustain them, they had no choice but to search for a new home. Still, Kai remains unmoved. He orders them to leave and turns back toward the tent. Inside, Porok tells Kai they have done everything possible for Elsa. Whether she lives or dies now depends on the strength of her life force. Porok then asks if Kai will at least consider the gorilla's plea. Kai refuses. Elsa would not be in this condition if the gorillas had not attacked. As far as he is concerned, he will not help them. Porok understands Kai's anger, but reminds him that the gorilla's plea was made under ancient law. As the new arbitration god, Kai cannot simply ignore it. No matter what name he is called, the god of Cani, the arbitration god, every race reveres him the same way. That is precisely why the arbitration god must remain neutral, standing above all conflicts to preserve balance. The weight of those words overwhelms Kai. It feels as if Porok is asking him to save the entire world on his own. And in a way, that is exactly what he is saying. The arbitration god's power surpasses that of the scattered land gods across the continent. With that power comes an unavoidable duty to protect the world itself. Kai steps outside to clear his head. The gorillas are still waiting, but he walks past them in silence and heads into the valley. He sits beside the valley god's gravestone, struggling to make sense of everything. Being expected to save the world feels unreal. If the valley god's power is truly so great, Kai wonders why it was entrusted to someone like him. He pleads for answers. There is only silence. Frustration overtakes him, and he channels his power toward the flowers growing at the base of the gravestone. Before he can harm them, Eru intervenes, stopping him. Realizing his emotions got the better of him, Kai pulls back and leaves the valley. Eru watches him go, confused by behavior she has never seen before. Meanwhile, at the valley's peak, Porok speaks calmly with the gorillas, praising how well they speak the human tongue. Kai returns and walks past them without acknowledgement, telling Porok he is going back to his village. One gorilla demands to know if that means Kai is rejecting their request. Kai answers that he is still thinking. He has not decided yet, but he must return home before people start worrying. Elsa cannot be moved in her condition, so Kai asks Porok to watch over her while he is gone. Kai departs. After he leaves, Torud asks Porok if he truly believes Kai will help them. Porok admits he does not know what Kai will choose, but he knows Kai is not someone who runs away. When Kai returns to the village, everyone is relieved to see him alive. They ask what happened, but Kai lies, saying he could not find Gandalf. He cannot tell them the truth. Manso comforts him and suggests he rest, but Kai insists on speaking with Vazin first. He warns that the gorillas may attack again. The news shocks everyone. Before Kai leaves, Vazin tells him how impressed he was by his actions and says he looks forward to seeing what Kai does next. Outside, Elsa's sister confronts Kai, demanding to know where Elsa is. Unable to face the truth, Kai lets her believe Elsa is dead. Jose later speaks with Kai, wondering if the land gods are pushing people into endless battles to weed out the weak. Looking at the pile of gorilla corpses, she wonders if they had loved ones too. Alha confronts Kai as well, admitting Kai is far stronger than he expected, but clearly bitter. Envy burns within him as he stabs a gorilla corpse in frustration. Kai stops him. An argument breaks out. Alha insists nothing will ever change between humans and demi-humans. Kai refuses to accept that fate. He has made his decision. Kai asks Vazin for permission to investigate gorilla territory. Though suspicious, Vazin trusts him. Before leaving, Manso gives Kai a new spear. Jose gives him her knife and asks him to take it as a charm. Kai leaves the village, unsure if he will ever return. Elsewhere, Gandalf's body is quietly buried. Back with the gorillas, Kai tells them he will help on one condition. They must promise not to attack Lag while he is gone. They swear it. Porok gives Kai traditional gorilla attire so he can travel safely. Kai visits Elsa one last time, speaking to her even though she cannot respond. He takes Durakan's axe and sets off with the gorillas. Far away, nobles in the capital hear of Lag's attack and do not care. Kai arrives in gorilla territory, shrouded in black fog and ruins. Bodies lie scattered. Porok explains the legend of Diabo, last defeated by the former arbitration god. At the heart of the village stands a massive tree. Torud leads Kai inside. The gorilla chief is waiting.